Drive, brought to you by Golf Pride.
Good morning, guys, and welcome into Morning Drive on a Tuesday. Anna Whiteley, delighted to be alongside Damon Hack, Paige McKenzie, and Robert Damron. Well, some news for you this morning as the PGA of America have established the Gulf Emergency Relief Fund to help industry professionals who are impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. This fund was created in large part because members of the PGA of America's executive leadership team took voluntary salary reductions, as well as making additional donations in order to raise over $5 million. Several fan-favorite professional golfers are giving back this week as well. John Daly headlines a group of pros competing in an online charity poker tournament to benefit MGM Resort employees impacted by the pandemic, which will be streamed on Twitch and YouTube. A few notable golfers also in the tournament include Michelle Wie, Lydia Ko, Jimmy Walker, Colin Morikawa, Max Homa, and our very own Paige McKenzie. Keep an eye out for that. And we'd like to wish a very happy 21st birthday to Mathew Wolf. This All-American won the NCAA Individual Championship in 2019 at Oklahoma State University. And remarkably, Wolf has already notched a PGA Tour victory in his young career, taking home the 3M Open just a few months later. But tonight, you can watch one of the most iconic battles in major championship history with golf's greatest rounds at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're taking you back to the 2016 Open, where Henrik Stenson emerged victorious with a final round 63, defeating Phil Mickelson in a duel at Royal Troon. Yesterday, Stenson caught up with our own Todd Lewis to reflect on his breakthrough major.
You bogeyed, Phil birdied, and suddenly it seemed like Phil had the momentum. But then you picked up 3 consecutive birdies and you grabbed the momentum back. How were you able to do that?
Well, I think I was super determined to go out and play a solid round. I knew who I was up against. Mickelson's Phil's been one of the I'm saying one of the. He's been the second best player in the world for the last 20 years. There's no question about that. And I knew who I was up against, and I was determined to go out and play my best possible round. I started with a bogey. I 3-putted from about, 50, 60 feet off the fringe of the first. He almost hole the second shot, and it was a bit of a swing there. But I just got, into what I was trying to do and execute that game plan of mine and play that golf course the best way I could. And I immediately got it back with a couple of good birdies, and we were kind of going head-to-head from there onwards.
You mentioned playing against Phil, who you considered the second greatest player in your generation. I know you're always focused when you want to go out there and try to win, or any round for that matter that you're competing. But the fact that it was Phil, did that sharpen your focus a little bit more?
Yeah, I think, I knew he was never going to back down. I know what kind of player he is, even if he's having not his best day on the course. His short game is amazing, and he's always going to be shooting a good number anyway. So I think that certainly helped me to go out and just go after it, go out and already from the start try and play aggressive. Even though I didn't get the best start on the first hole, I was still in the mindset of playing aggressive and going after my shots and just try and shoot as low of a score as I could do.
And after trading punches, you birdied 14, 15, 16, and 18, and ultimately were able to win. What is your best memory from that round?
Well, I just recall I'm standing over this, 18-footer, something like that, on hole number 14. And I'm just thinking to myself that I'm not going to have that many good chances on these tough final stretch for birdie. And I know Phil's not going to give anything away for free. So if you want to win this championship, you better make chances like these. And I just drained that putt right in the middle on 14. And then really, when I stood on this long putt on 15, I kind of got the feeling I had on 11, because I had a long birdie putt on 11 that I came up short with, and I 3-putted. And I recalled that I had kind of almost interfered in that stroke on that first putt, that I felt like, I'm going to hit it too hard, and I decelled a little bit and came up short, and when I'm standing over this, I think it was 51-foot putt on 15. I'm just thinking, just go with the feeling. You got the pace right, and I just sent this monster putt off, and it was looking good a long ways out, and eventually hit the bottom of the cup. And I think that was my best putt ever.
All right, best putt ever. Let's get into some rankings here. You had 10 birdies that day. You shoot that magical final round, and ultimately you hold the claret jug. Given the circumstances, how would you rank that final round to win the Open?
Well, it's my best round ever played. Given the score that I shoot on the type of golf course in that situation for a major championship up against Phil, take everything considered. It's certainly my best round ever played. I think my final round at Sawgrass in 09, that 66 on Sunday in 09, there was my best round up until this point. But there's no question that this is my best round ever played.
Without a doubt, one of the greatest displays of golf the Open Championship has ever seen. So guys, it is time now to take your pick. Which player do you think is better equipped to win another major? Phil Mickelson or Henrik Stenson? Robert Damron, starting with you.
Well, first off, that footage makes me kind of sad that there's not going to be an Open this year. I love watching that. That particular one in 2016 was one of the best tournaments I've ever gotten to watch against Stenson and Phil. But who's best to win going forward? I think ball striking wins most majors. Of course, you've got to make putts, but Stenson's ball striking has not slipped, whereas Phil's has. Yes, he was never quite the ball striker Stenson was, and he's won a lot more majors, but his whole game has slipped a little bit. The short game that was just magic for years has been a little bit rusty. The putts have not gone in. The driver, which used to be crooked, has gotten more crooked. Phil's really, really been struggling the last year, 18 months. And I think Stenson, even though he wasn't the player that he was, he's not winning at the clip he used to win. He's still capable. He showed us that at the Hero in December, Paige.
I agree with you, Robert, 100%. When you talk about slipping, Phil Mickelson has, and without a doubt, last year, 157th in strokes gained total. Compare that to Henrik Stenson, who is 20th, actually shockingly high considering his results. And I know over the last handful of years, he struggled with injuries a little bit. But you mentioned the Hero. That was probably reflective more of his season than anything else. But even so far this season for Phil Mickelson, we saw that third place finish at Pebble, but 182nd on the tour in fairways hit, 174th in greens and regulation, and 136th in strokes gained putting. Damon, when you add that up, I don't see a major championship in his future anytime soon.
I'm with you, Paige. What major championships demand, Henrik Stenson provides, as he has for much of his career, and it's expert ball striking. It's placing your golf ball where you want it to go, especially with your second shot. It's being able to hit the the correct portion of the green, and ball striking has long been Henrik Stenson's calling card. He's just played better golf over the last couple of years since that win at the Open in 2016. He had a couple top 10s in majors in 2018, top 10 in a major last year, 2019. Phil hasn't had a top 10 in a major championship since finishing runner-up to Henrik Stenson back at Troon in 2016. He's also age 44 compared to Phil Mickelson, who's about to turn 50 in June. For those reasons and more, Anna, Henrik Stenson is my pick.
Yeah, I think we've got 4 votes for Henrik Stenson here. You mentioned it there, Damon. Stenson, he's a more recent proven winner. Yes, it was a limited field in the Bahamas, but he was still staving off the likes of John Rahm, Tiger Woods, Reed, Rose, Thomas. And not only that, he has short-term motivational goals. He wants to upgrade that Olympic silver medal to a gold medal. He's been very vocal about that. Now, I'm not sure exactly how much practice he's going to be getting in with his coach, Pete Cowan, who's obviously been recovering from testing positive from COVID-19. So I'm sure he's been in touch with him over the phone as much as he can. But it seems like Phil has sort of accepted his fate, especially when it comes to the US Open. He's admitted that he doesn't really think that the Grand Slam, the career Grand Slam, is within touching distance. But I throw this back to you, Robert, because Phil hasn't really contended in majors since that 2016 Open Championship. But what do you think the likelihood is it for us to see him in contention once again at the biggest events in the game?
I have a little more question now than I did before the shutdown of the tour. I was pretty sure no, period, at the shutdown of the tour. But now this time off, there's a chance that this time off and this shutdown of golf resets Phil. And maybe he decides, you know what, I didn't like the path I was going mentally, or my desire wasn't there. It's hard to have your desire there when your game's not there. Those two things tend to go hand in hand. So maybe if he can use this time to reset, work on things, he may have some kind of chance. Let's not forget, Henrik said it, Phil's the second best player of the last generation, and that's no easy feat. It's hard to count him out completely.
100%, Robert, because we've seen him pop up after not playing great golf. We saw that earlier this year in Saudi Arabia and Pebble Beach back to back. So I think there's still opportunity for Phil Mickelson to show up in the big weeks when he is extra motivated. I agree, though, that the downtime could be good for him in working on a few things. We've talked about how much he's promoted hitting bombs, but really it comes down to that short game and that putting that's not been there for him. The driver's always been a little bit crooked. He's never been as reliable off of the tee. So I always look to the putting as that kind of leads his game and his scoring.
I think we're just trying to figure out what Phil wants from this part of his career. I think Phil's trying to figure out what Phil wants from this part of his career. Is he going to be an entertainer? Is he going to be a high-level professional golfer? And I do think we've seen a bit of a kind of conflict in that question because he's been so prolific on social media, less so inside the ropes. But I did say I think he has one great run left in him. I'm just not sure if we saw it with the third-place finishes at Pebble and Saudi, or if it's something bigger and greater in the months ahead. Maybe this rest, Anna, will help him.
Well, the future is unknown for Phil and Henrik right now, but what we do know is that was one magical Sunday back in 2016. So don't forget to tune in to golf at 9 p.m. Eastern this evening and catch golf's greatest rounds, the 2016 Open, where you can relive that duel at Royal Troon between Henrik Stenson and Phil Mickelson.